So here we are in mid January. Let me ask you a question. Have your resolutions already started to quietly die? Are you already renegotiating the terms with yourself? The good news is that this does not mean you are a failure. It just means that those resolutions were never actually aligned anyway. And that is what we are diving into today. Hey, friend, welcome back to our Goal Setting That Sticks series. If you are new here, this is part 4 of a 6-part goal setting series. And before we go any further, I really want to encourage you to pause right here, go back to episode 10, and start with part 1 if you have not already done the other parts. Each piece of this process builds on the last part. And the truth is, if you want lasting change, if you want this to be the year that you follow through on your goals, then you really do need to do the whole thing. There are no shortcuts here. And please, please, if you haven't already, grab your free goal setting planner in the show notes. Listening to the episodes is helpful, but doing the work yourself is where the transformation is actually going to happen. And y'all, I have been getting such great feedback on this process already, and I would love to hear from each and every one of you. So please take a second and leave a comment below or fill out the podcast feedback form. Tell me how this has been for you. Tell me what you've loved, what you haven't. I seriously want to hear all the things. Tell me everything. All right, so today is where we get into the nitty-gritty. Up until now, we have done a lot of very important foundational work. So in part 1, we slowed down, we did our year-end review. We took time, we actually looked back at everything you lived through in the past year, everything you handled, everything you accomplished, all of the joyful moments, the fun adventures, and all of that put us in a place of gratitude and abundance to kick this whole thing off. In part 2, we tapped into future you. And we chose your North Star theme for the year, something that you can come back to again and again when things get hard. In part 3, you got honest about what you actually want. We let go of the shoulds and the expectations and the polished answers. We dug into what you want more of, what you want less of, and you identified your big 5 life areas for the year. So now we are going to turn all of that into goals that actually matter, goals that align with who you are becoming, goals that you can realistically live with all year long. All right, so we are going to kick this off with step 1, which is identity-based goals. So for each of your big 5 areas, you are going to set one identity-based goal. So what is an identity-based goal? So these are high-level goals. They are not tactical. They do not include numbers or timelines yet. We will get to that. These are touchy-feely goals. They are about who you want to be and what direction you want to go. So as you go through this practice, I want you to answer one question for each of your 5 life areas. If I focused on just one thing in this area, what would make the biggest difference? So let me give you some examples. One of my big 5 is body. And for me, my identity goal is to build strength and consistency. I know as a midlife woman, we need to be lifting weights and stuff, right? We've heard it a million times. And honestly, in the past, I have been a workout crazy person. But over the last year, I have really fallen off the wagon with my workouts. So I want to lift and I want to be consistent about it. Another example is home. And yeah, this is another one of mine. My identity-based goal for my home is to create a spacious, clutter-free environment. We do a pretty good job of that overall, but there are definitely some spots and some areas in my house where clutter really builds up, and I would like to just get it all out. So another one of my big 5 areas is growth. My identity-based goal for growth is to expand and grow personally and professionally in new and interesting ways. So as you can see, these are high level, much more touchy-feely. We're not getting into the weeds just yet. This is where you're choosing a direction, not a roadmap. All right, once you have your identity based goals for each of your big five, we're going to start adding a little more clarity. So, step two here is to lay out what I call SMART with soul goals. So, you've probably heard of traditional SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And while those are absolutely super helpful, they kind of leave out the identity and alignment piece, which we've talked about before being so very important. So that's where the soul piece comes in here. So in your planner, there is a whole list of questions, and I want you to take the time to answer each and every one of those questions for each of your big five. So you've got your big five areas. Under each of those, you've got your identity based goal. And then under that, you're going to answer these questions to create your SMART with soul goals. So I'm not going to go through every question here, but some of the questions you're going to answer are things like, how will I know if I'm practicing or progressing? Why does this matter to me in this season? That's pulling at that identity piece, right? What does success look like by the end of the year? And there are several others. And again, just like every other part of this process, I want you to take time on these. All right, once you are done with that, then we're going to move to step three. Step three is where you're going to set supporting milestones. So for each one of your big five, you're going to choose 3 to 5, 5 max, supporting milestones. Okay, so your milestones is really where you start to quantify what we're doing. You're trying to pick a few things that will actually move the needle the most over time for each of your goals. So again, I always think the easiest way to explain all of this is to give you examples. So let's say money is one of your big five, and you're really wanting more awareness and impulse control. Your milestones might be track spending weekly, to review all of your accounts monthly, and to create one aligned spending boundary. That is your 3 milestones. So for me and my growth goal, my milestones are daily journaling. So this is something that I've done off and on. I know that when I stick to it, my day is better, my week is better, my life is better. So that is something I want to be better about doing. Number 2 is to reach out about podcast guesting once per week. That might be inviting someone to be on my podcast. It might be me pitching to be on someone else's podcast. Number 3, write 15,000 words of my book in this first quarter. So I am writing a book in 2026. And sadly, books don't write themselves. You have to actually sit down and write the words on the paper. And then my 4th milestone is to read one personal growth book each month. And I will tell you more about that milestone and how you can help hold me accountable in a little bit. So the good news here is I did put several ChatGPT prompts in your planner to help you through this part of the process if you get stuck. But I do really encourage you to think through each section yourself first. This is your life and these are your goals. The prompts are really just there to help out if you need a little bit of assistance. All right, so back to how you can hold me accountable to one of my growth milestones. As I went through this process, I knew that reading a personal growth book every month was going to be one of the things I wanted to do. I have read tons of these books in the past, but recently I've been listening to more than I've been physically reading. And when I listen, I'll be honest, I don't do the exercises. I don't get nearly as much out of the books. So I wanted to physically read the books. And as I've said before, I worked ahead of you guys on this goal setting process. So as I got into part 5, which we will do next week, one of the systems that I came up with, one of the ways to hold myself accountable was to start the book club. So as of now, you can join the Better with Every book club. And I am so excited about this book club, you guys. All right, so here's what it looks like. First of all, it is only $10 a month. I wanted to make sure it was super cheap so that everybody could join that wanted to be a part of this. And then, of course, whatever the cost is for the book, but most books aren't that expensive. We are kicking this off in February. And we will read one book per month. And then every Friday, I will release a private podcast episode just to the members where I will break down the book. I'm going to break down the key takeaways, give you the highlights, review the exercises with you. And I'm really going to share all the behind the scenes with you as to how I'm applying this to my life And I'm going to give you tips on how you can apply it to yours as well. And you will also be invited to our private Facebook group just for book club members. And I love this because it's going to be a little community. We can discuss the books as we're reading. We can share aha moments. We can share our wins and just support and celebrate each other as we go through the process. So our very first book for February is this one right here. If you're watching on YouTube, Build the Life You Want. The Art and Science of Getting Happier by Arthur Brooks and Oprah Winfrey. I will put a link to the book below. Go ahead and grab your copy and join now so that you're ready to get started with us on that first Friday in February. I hope that tons of you join me, but honestly, even if a handful of you join, I will be thrilled and we will do this together and you're going to grow and I'm going to grow. I mean, what a beautiful thing. So if growth is one of your big 5 this year, this is going to be a really supportive, low pressure way for you to stay engaged and have accountability and support along the way as well. You'll find all the links in the show notes. And just remember, as you are going through all of this work, if you realize that you want more support, more clarity, or deeper guidance, check out Shift and Thrive. That is my one-on-one coaching program. And that is where we can really work together and I can personalize this process for you. We can work through your identity shifts and your mindset blocks and create momentum for you together. And just like everything else, the link is in the show notes. All right, that is it for this week. So just like every other part to this series, let your brain think. Give it the time it needs. Let things settle. Come back if you need to. And next week, we're going to move into part 5, where we're going to create your 90-day blueprint and start turning all of this into action. Are you ready? I am so ready. All right, that's all I've got for today, y'all. Go be fabulous. Make sure you take my free Shift Happens quiz to find out what you're really craving next in midlife. Or if you think you might be ready to dive into one-on-one coaching with me, book a free clarity call. You'll find both links right below the video.